Persol 714, when you want the performance of a sunglass, but you want the mechanics of a transformance toy. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe, because when you do that, it lets me know that you care. And I like to know when you care. But it's also very important for me because my next couple of videos I have coming down the pipeline are going to be non-sunglass related. So please, if you're subscribed to this channel, don't forget to like those, watch those, and share those around, just because I don't want to lose in the algorithm war. It's interesting verbiage, algorithm war. Sounds like it's going to be in the next Terminator film. But today, kids, we're talking about the Persol 714, perhaps one of the most iconic sunglasses from one of the most iconic sunglass makers. Making these things doubly iconic, or iconic squared, or just great pairs of sunglasses. We'll get to it. But before we actually get to start talking about the sunglasses themselves, let's talk about the brand Persol. Because Persol is one of the most legendary sunglass makers, and perhaps one of the oldest, dating back all the way to 1917, actually predating Ray-Ban by what? 30 years? So for over 100 years, Persol has maintained some of the highest build quality and manufacturing techniques in the industry. It has gained recognition and popularity between all walks of life, as seen on everyone from the luxury fashion aficionados to high-end celebrities to the frat boy whose parents bought him Persol instead of Ray-Bans because they wanted to be that one step above. Persol is characterized by some of its most iconic and subtle features, like the arrow that wraps around to the front fascia to the side arms, and then of course the Meflecto system. Two items I've really touched on before and I'll continue to touch on later in this video. But Persol in the mid-century, after finding a lot of success with their full acetate aviator, the 649, decided to create perhaps one of the world's first collapsible pairs of sunglasses. And I can hear some people out there already saying, well, what do you mean by folding or collapsible pair of sunglasses? Don't all sunglasses have hinges and can fold down? Well, first of all, not all sunglasses have hinges and can fold down. Second of all, the 714 is actually a fully collapsible frame, which means you can actually fold it down more than just at the traditional hinges, but here in the center as well, meaning it's able to be folded up and be concealed very easily. And Persol, with their 714s, were one of, if not the first people to invent the collapsible frame. And throughout the years, there's been several different variations of the 714s, but we'll pick up on that a little later. But for the purposes of this review, this is the standard modern edition of the Persol 714, or PO 0714 if you want to get technical and nasty about it. And if you're watching this, you probably do. What is one thing that's going to set up the modern interpretation of the 714 apart? And that's actually going to be the breeching mechanism on the arms. See, the original ones that came out in the 60s, I believe, they had a side breech, which means they breached in towards the lens. And on these, since they were the newer editions, they breach down like this. I'm not exactly sure whenever they transitioned from the side breech to the down breech. I just know that the modern traditional interpretation of the 714s have the down breech to the arms. And if you're wondering the specifications on this frame, this is the 54mm lens with the 21mm bridge and the brown acetate with the brown polarized lens. Again, with the as expected Pesol Meflecto system. A quick touch of base of what the Meflecto system is without getting into too much detail in this video. It's Persol's patented arm technology, which allows flexibility right here at the frame to take pressure off of the temples. And it works masterfully here. Really adjusted enough to keep pressure off my temples while also keeping secure behind the ears, and that's very important. I never feel like these are going to come off. At the same time, I never feel like it's trying to squish my head in. But talking about the frame shape itself, like I said, this is an aviator type frame, which means it has somewhat of a teardrop here in the lens itself. And the teardrop is really good as far as looks and styling goes, but it also helps as far as just shun goes. It's covering up more of the coverage of lens, so you're not getting a lot of glare coming from below or a lot of glare coming from above. It has a very nice coverage to the lens itself. But this is a full acetate frame, so yes, there is a good amount of teardrop to the lens, but it's added by a lot of frame around the lens itself, which makes sometimes these come off a little bulky on people. Why I think some people might kind of be driven away or might not initially like them is because they do look a little bulky, since there is a lot of acetate to this frame. And so when you have a large teardrop with a lot of acetate, sometimes it can be a little much for people. And some people might actually look at this frame and say it's a little too retro for them, or it's a little too out of time. To me, it's not. To me, the 714 is something that has just maintained and is kind of timeless and classic, as opposed to kind of retro or trying to look like you're coming out of the 60s. But to me, they're also a very versatile style. I'm able to wear them with a lot. I wear them with a suit and tie a lot, and I wear them kind of casually just with jeans and a t-shirt a lot. With the kind of brown acetate to them, I really wouldn't wear a black tie to them, but if someone was to, I wouldn't really fault them. But I don't think they're a super formal pair, but they're a good dress pair and they're a good casual pair. But as far as build quality goes, it's Persol. It's hard to beat some of their manufacturing techniques. Each one is handmade in Italy, and I think they take about, 13, 14 days to make by hand for each frame. I mean, that's just incredible. And the color of acetate is very good too. Let's see if I can get it in the right light. It's a very brown, very tight tortoiseshell, so you don't get a lot of kind of light passing through it, and against skin it's very dark, but it's still very brown. Sometimes I see some like dark Havanas which kind of look brown against or kind of look black against the skin. That's not really the case. You can kind of tell it's a brown tortoiseshell even whenever it's against the skin. So it allows good light passage and a good depth of color, but it doesn't look too tight, it doesn't look too black. And then with that, you have the additional part of the metal hardware of the traditional Persol arrows and the Meflecto bits, and then also the folding mechanism here, which is done in the silver. So whenever it's actually out in the light, it looks really good, and they pop off really well off of the acetate. In the right light, they almost give off just this glow to them, and they just look really good. So with that, let's move on to the lenses. Like I said, these particular lenses on this model is the brown polarized crystal glass lens, which means it's impeccably clear and durable, which is very important when you have a foldable frame like this, because a lot of times since they are foldable, they kind of get tossed around a little bit more. So I recommend, if you really want a foldable frame, try to make sure it has a glass lens, and these do. And like I said, since it's a crystal glass lens, you get some of the best clarity just right off the bat. And then also, since it's polarized and anti-reflective, it's some of the best view kind of coming out of a lens in general. These are also a non-gradient lens, which means it's the same color from top to bottom. There's no variance in color, which some people like. I really like. Some people might not like as much. Some people might want a gradient version, which they do make it in a blue gradient lens, but for this one I opted just to go with the brown non-gradient lens. So the brown to me gives a good warm glow to everything and kind of brings the colors down in a very natural way and brings up other colors. So it really brings out green and kind of oranges and reds. That's why I really like this for fall. So, oh no, yeah, I really like them. But you might be asking yourself, why do I really need a collapsible pair of sunglasses? And it's fine if they just fold down once. I don't need to fold them down an extra dimension. So what's really the purpose? And to me, I think collapsible sunglasses are really good for just easily concealment. If you're not one of those people who likes to kind of hang it off their t-shirt or they wear a jacket, it's really easy just to slide a pair of 714s into a jacket pocket, and since, like I said, they're glass lenses and they're full acetate and they're very well made, you don't really have to worry about them marking anything up in there. Although I wouldn't put them in your pocket with your keys. But suffice to say, I think there's a lot of benefit to having a collapsible pair of sunglasses, especially if you're going to be one of those weird people who just has one pair of sunglasses for everything. I think a 714 kind of really runs the gamut, which is why I almost always bring these on trips with me, because they are just the ultimate travel pair of sunglasses. You can fold them down to make sure that they don't take up a lot of room, and they're casual and stylish enough that you can wear them with practically anything. You know, they have the crystal glass lens, so anything you look through. So if you're traveling and you really want to see good sights and you don't want lenses to kind of cloud your vision at all, these lenses are going to be great. Like I said, they're going to be able to be dressed up better, and they're just going to be good wear all the time, no matter what. I mean, they just have a name in history all on its own. You don't need my recommendation to go get one, but if you're looking for mine, go get one, because they're really, really great. But if you're looking for some criticisms, here are a few. It's the Persol glass lens, which, like I said, is very incredible, but is also notoriously hard to get completely clean. A lot of times it's really hard to get a streak-free shine on a Persol glass lens. And the second is maintenance on the actual folding mechanism. Some people's mileage may vary. If you know me, you know I have a lot of sunglasses and I rotate a lot, so I'll try and wear these probably once or twice a month. So I'm not wearing them out, I'm not unfolding them and folding them every day. Just know that these do eventually get loose, and you will kind of need to maintain and make sure they're tightened. Most of the time I've heard horror stories of screws falling out. Just make sure that if you do have these, always kind of feel how the frame is feeling, making sure like an arm isn't too loose or this part's too loose. I'd say a good lipness test for the strength of the screws is if you're able to do this with your sunglasses without them falling over like that on their own. I'd say your screws are pretty fine in that case. But it is something that you should kind of take note if you do have a 714, is making sure your screws are always in good condition. Like I said, I've left these kind of in packages for a while and kind of take them out here and there, and eventually, yes, even how rarely I wear them compared to some other people, the lenses themselves do get loose. Just something to take note if you do really want a 714. So let's transition from that to talk about the packaging. Because to me, it's really cool whenever you go into collapsible pair of sunglasses, is that the packages goes from traditional size to teeny tiny and cute. And the 714 packaging is no exception. As seen here, the box is very nice and fits very easily in the palm of the hand. When you open up the box itself, right there you see the leather case. But let's move the leather case aside very quickly just to see the traditional Luxottica packet, the Persol certificate of authenticity, and then of course the Persol embossed cleaning wipe. But the leather case itself, it's about this size. I can see it's pretty small. It's easy to kind of conceal and kind of throw into a suitcase like I said. It's a black case and it has just this small brown stitching around the outer of it, around the inside of it as well. It's actually held together by a magnet button, so you just have to breach that magnet there, and then right there on the inside is your perfect little Persol 714s. But so yes, the 714s are great. They've been around forever and they're going to continue to be around forever. And also one really cool thing about the 714s is they've made a couple of different variants over the past couple of years. So take a quick look at these variants. If you really like them, comment below, let me know. I'll eventually do a review on them, but if you guys let me know that you really want a review for these 714 variants, I'll get working on those videos a little bit quicker. So comment, let me know which ones you really want to see. The first ones that I want to talk about is actually the 9714s. The 9714s, much like the 9649s, are just a thinner, smaller, more sleeker adaptation of the traditional, more bulkier 714s. If you can see, if I have them back to back, you can see that the 9714s is actually quite a bit sleeker and quite a bit more narrower than the standard 714s. And the lenses and overall frame design is a little bit smaller, but it still shares the same folding mechanism as its big brother of the traditional 714s. And the next ones are a special edition of the 714s that I saw, and these are actually what made me fall in love with the 714s in the first place. And there's the Persol 714 SM or the Persol Steve McQueen edition. These are more reminiscent of the actual 1960s ones that Steve McQueen wore instead of the more newer ones. A couple of things of note is the smaller arms right here in the traditional folding mechanism, where it's the side breech, like I said, to these 714s, than the down breech of the more modern ones. And they come in the coolest Persol case I've ever seen. Seriously, I really love this case. But if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts on that pair of sunglasses, do please comment below and let me know. As well as anything else you'd like to see me review. Obviously on this channel I like to review a lot of sunglasses, but this is also a luxury review channel, and that's kind of some of the stuff I have planned out in the future. So if you have any other kind of luxury related items you'd like me to review, comment in that down below and I'll see what I can do. But also, what are your thoughts on the 714s? Do you have them? Do you know someone who has them? Do you really want a pair? Comment and let me know. I'm really kind of curious to hear some other people's thoughts on the 714s. Obviously, I love them, but you know, you might have a different opinion, which is okay. I'm not going to scold you for it. I'm just going to be disappointed. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to like it and share it to someone else who you think might like it as well. But if you really want to see more, you can click right here to subscribe, or you can click right here to watch more. And I'll see you next time. Alright, review is done. Time to go get some tacos.